Welcome to another sparkling edition of Plank of the Week. We are here in the very, very exciting studio at News UK, and I've got with me the two cohorts of Plank that have been here all year so far. Kevin O'Sullivan, of course, Dawn Neesom. It's amazing how this has gone. We're now in April.
I know.
We've been doing this for 4 months.
Gone so far.
Now, this used to be a show where I changed the panel every week, but apparently people quite like the fact that you're doing it all the time now.
Yeah,
not least because you're always arguing with each other.
Do you know what's funny about it? You do get
couple.
You do get people coming and say, "Why can't you vary the guests up?" And you go, "I don't know. Have you heard about this COVID crisis? You know, the restrictions."
Yes. And so we can't actually get that many people in the building. But the thing is, we might end up sticking with this particular.
Because it works. Because it's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Please take it.
People like
I like nothing more than rowing with Dawn.
Also, if you're now watching this show on YouTube, you can also listen to it because it goes out now on Talk Radio. We'll tell you more about that coming up. But let's start off with Kevin, I think, first this week. Who's your first plank?
I've got a couple of Labour people this week you'll be shocked to hear, but they really deserve it. And the first one, this is absolutely outrageous, pathetic student-like juvenile behaviour by the Labour MP, former front bencher, Clive Lewis, in response to the race report last week, which shockingly revealed that Britain is not institutionally racist, and all the Labour mob erupted in faux fury about this. They want this country to be racist, you know. They want it to be racist. So there were lots and lots of infantile, over-the-top responses to this race report saying, no, Britain is racist, it is racist. No, it's not. It's an extremely un-racist country. Anyway, among the responses to this, one stood out as absolutely unacceptable, and that was from this idiot, Clive Lewis, a former front bencher, who tweeted a picture of a Ku Klux Klan member in all his finery with a burning cross behind, saying, "Nothing to see here, move along." Now, Keir Starmer should have come down on him like a ton of bricks, because that is over the top. And by the way, American racism has no relation to racism here. You know, the way that we seem to conflate the George Floyd story with matters here in Britain is just ludicrous. You know this, Mike, from living there. America really does have a racism problem, a massive racism problem.
Well, also they have a thing called the Ku Klux Klan, which used to go around actually lynching black people and killing them.
Yeah.
We don't have the Ku Klux Klan here.
Exactly. There's not very many Ku Klux Klan conventions over here. So Clive Lewis tweeted that, and I thought, you're not only an MP, you're a former shadow minister. This is just pathetic. You know, this is what Labour is putting forward as the kind of people who are going to run the country. And furthermore, Keir Starmer, I'm fit to be the Prime Minister, I will show you. Well, come down on this infantile idiot Lewis like a ton of bricks. Instead, nothing
at all. And I actually offered Mr. Lewis the opportunity to come on the Talk Radio show that I do and actually explain why he'd done it. Because I thought it was outrageous, like you. I thought it was absolutely way over the top and not actually very helpful to what is quite a febrile atmosphere at the moment.
This is what I don't
understand. He's basically sort of goading people into doing something.
Well, this is what I don't understand with the left, with the whole racism row. They try to fight division and hatred by creating more division and hatred.
Yeah.
Why would you do
there
that?
Were so many people disappointed by the fact that this report didn't say what they wanted it to say.
I mean, it didn't.
I don't really like it.
It didn't exonerate Britain. All countries have got a problem with racism. Of
course they have.
I say it's a part of the human condition.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, you'll never get rid of it. But it did say that no one sets out to be racist in this country. There is no institutional racism, and in fact, the way we've tackled racism should shine as a beacon to every other country in the world who wants to get rid of racism in their country. So we've been actually rather good in that respect. Not good enough for Labour.
No.
Furious, absolutely furious. No. This is a racist hellhole.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Although Clive Lewis, of course,
not.
it's not the first time Clive Lewis has had a little problem. Do you remember? It's not a word I'm going to use, but he was once at a function that was organised by Labour. He was on the stage. A woman came up to either be presented with something or something like that, and he thought it would be very funny to quip "on your knees," and then he used the B word, which is often used as a derogatory term about women, and he had to be kind of told off about that. But I thought to myself, any bloke that does that and says something like that to a woman in public, I don't think that's a great endorsement of what his character is.
By the way, while we're on the subject of wildly inflammatory, stupid, bovine responses to the race report. Tony Sewell, the educational consultant, who is a black person, black man, who was in charge of this, was likened to being Goebbels.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And he really
David Lammy should get an honourable mention as well, because he was similarly, giving it large and making out that, of course it's if this was a racist country, how would David Lammy have become an MP?
Yeah, exactly.
How would Clive, what's his face, have become an MP?
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as I say, we were not exonerated. Of course we have problems. Every country has problems. But this is not a racist hellhole. And Labour, if Keir is going to let the lunatics and the idiots in his party pursue this line, come on everybody, Britain's a racist hellhole. He's going to lose the next election by a landslide. So Clive Lewis, without a shadow of a doubt, a major plank of the week.
Yes, it's a very good first nomination.
No, it is.
Dawn?
But sad as well, that one. Sad because all the people involved in that report have got the most hideous abuse from people that claim to be inclusive and all for diversity and all for sort of like, let's be kind to one another.
Right. No, these are the kind of idiots who think that if you disbelieve Meghan Markle, you're a racist.
Yes. And also, these are also the kind of people that believe that if you are from a minority, you must be a left-winger. Yeah. They can't stand Priti Patel for the same reason.
But they can't cope with that concept, can they?
Originally from South Asia, her parents came here from Uganda, but because she's brown-skinned, she has to be left-wing. Otherwise, we hate her.
It's this trope that they can't cope with black or brown people that don't perceive themselves to be victims.
No.
If and that's just so patronising to people.
It really is. But that's where we are. Who's your first plank, Dawn?
Right, okay. My first plank is it's a group nomination. It's the NASUWT, which is the teaching union. Yes. It's the main teaching union in this country. It stands for the National Association of Schoolmasters Union of Women Teachers.
Surely they should make that a bit shorter.
Yeah, well,
women teachers is just for women.
No, National Association of Schoolmasters. Women can't be schoolmasters.
You've only heard the second part of what you said.
And the Union of Women Teachers.
Well, why aren't they called women mistresses?
Right? Because they're teachers.
Yeah, but why are men are masters?
What?
Men are schoolmasters and women are just teachers.
Just call it the teaching union.
No, men are not masters. No, we're all equal now.
But they are in this union. They're schoolmasters, and the women are just women teachers.
Well, this is why
this is the kind of sexism that makes me furious. This is a sexist hellhole. This country.
In any case, they have 313,000 members.
Sorry
the
to
largest
interrupt.
teacher. Well, why not? Go on, have it in a lifetime.
Sorry to interrupt. It's what we do.
Is the NASUWT the merger of the NASU and then WT?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, it was, and that happened in the 90s.
I see.
And they are the largest teaching union. They're not as pure as a driven.
How can we forget?
No.
They've got issues.
We had a party around my house. Bunting out.
In any case, this week. For God's sake!
Stop upsetting her. It's too early.
Oh,
I don't have
one more thing.
Look, I don't want to have to referee another bleeding bickering outfit from you two. Come on. Let's get on with it, shall we?
Come on then.
Let's get on with it.
Stop
Let's
interrupting
get on
yourself.
with it.
Actually, we haven't got time for this.
Right, yeah, okay. Any case, they are holding their annual conference remotely, obviously, this week, and they have passed a motion, which sounds painful, and it probably is, about how schools must decolonise the curriculum across all subjects, including maths and science and cookery. Cookery, I know. How you decolonise
cookery?
I am not 100% sure. But in any case...
Stop cooking curries? I don't know, something like that.
Well, no, because that's not colonisation. People in India actually make curries and eat them. Yeah. So how would that be colonisation of cooking?
Well, it was the maths that confused me, because, I mean, evidently I was listening to someone explain it this morning, and she was explaining that it's very important that children understand that maths originated in the Middle East.
Yes.
Yeah. Forget the 2 plus 2 equals 4.
Why is it important?
Because it's important. But the basic.
I don't believe it did anyway.
Well, it might.
Everybody has to count.
Does it matter
what
where
school
it
do you go
originated?
to? Any case, all subjects.
So who started maths then?
I don't know. I didn't get to a decent school, quite clearly.
Everybody has to start. Everybody had to get involved.
Is it the ancient Egyptians?
That's racist against those of us in the north.
It's very important. Well, that's fair enough. It's very important to ensure black visibility in teaching.
Right.
design, technology, modern foreign languages, science, English, music, geography, art, everything basically.
Yes.
Everything needs to be decolonised and told from a black point of view. But they've got a point, okay, we do need to understand.
Well, no, I don't think they have, actually.
But what makes them particularly plankish, this comes out in the very week that it's announced that 200,000 pupils will start secondary school barely able to read.
Right.
In this country in 2021. So don't you think teachers in this country...
That's a bit more important, isn't it?
...will have slightly more important things to do than worrying about making cookery decolonised?
Yes, it really is mad, isn't it? But this is where these people end up taking themselves, because they've run out of actual real issues to talk about. And now they're just making stuff up as they go along because they think it's the right thing to do.
It is, again, I hate the word, but it's the virtue signalling. It's like we are doing the right thing. And meanwhile, kids are suffering. I mean, kids have really suffered in this pandemic. Education is going to be years behind. And it's the poorer working class kids of all colours that are suffering once again.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that the teachers should be concentrating on.
And that's the thing, you know, Kevin's first nomination, talking about that race report that came out, nobody's talking about what they actually said, which is that people are suffering in this country because of class, because of poverty, because of poverty, and actually some of the worst off kids are white working class boys.
Yeah.
Nobody's taken that on. Nobody's gone,
and what about...
Oh, maybe we should tell history from the point of view of white working class boys. Maybe we shouldn't talk about, you know, what's his name, Francis Drake going around the world. Maybe we should talk about, you know, the Do the Boys Hall and the kind of places where kids were sent up chimneys. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
How is that going to be any better?
Why didn't we take some of the... there were lots of positive elements of the race report. Why didn't we gather around those instead of trying to make it more negative? But to go back to your nomination, Dawn, you know, what worries me about this is the reason America's falling apart at the seams is because, and this has been going on in the States probably since the 80s, certainly through the 90s. It was happening while you and I were there, Mike. And now this is a nation that is obsessed with gender, sexuality and race. It's obsessed with those three elements, and it is destroying itself. And we are following suit. And we are doing the same.
Dawn, do you think that this is coming from the education sector? Because I think it is. I think it's starting in primary schools, which is what they're talking about.
Well,
it's carrying on in secondary schools, and it's carrying on in universities.
It is, and I just think, you know, and it's starting even younger, Mike, because the other report that came out this week was from the Early Years Coalition, which represents tens of thousands of preschool centres.
Yeah.
And they have told nursery
preschool being under the age of, what, 4?
4.
Yeah.
So they have told nursery teachers who look after toddlers...
White privilege,
that they need to be aware that the children need to understand white privilege, and they need to help the kids recognise racist behaviours. We're talking about toddlers.
I'm talking about kids that sit in a sandpit eating sand.
Exactly.
Right? What are you going to tell them about people's skin colour? They don't even know. They don't even recognise anybody's skin colour.
Babies, all they see is another baby to play with.
Yeah.
Which is unconscious bias, isn't it? This is the teaching of kids about race. If we didn't teach them about race, they wouldn't be racist.
They wouldn't. No, of course not.
No.
You know,
but this is the problem.
Most people don't care about this.
What is being created now is a kind of apartheid system in this country, whereby if you are considered to be wrong, it's probably because your skin colour is the wrong colour. But guess what? It's not because you're black, it's because you're white.
These idiot politicians, they want to start realising what motivates people. Here's what motivates people. Keeping a roof over their heads, feeding their kids, keeping a car in the drive, going to Spain once a year for a nice holiday. That's the big motivation for people. They're not sitting around going, oh, this race report really let us down. I mean, these politicians are so far off the
they're not living the
case
lives,
when it comes to what people really think
there's
about.
There's a huge amount of the socio-economic factor involved in this as well, and it is not helping poor, and it's normally boys, black boys and white boys, poor working class kids in inner city, actually make something of their lives. And by talking about the most important thing for their education is that they're aware of the colonisation of all the subjects they're learning about. We need to educate these kids.
They're teaching the kids how to be racist.
Yeah,
is what they're doing.
Education is the key to freedom and the one way out of the poverty trap, as everyone, including Martin Luther King, who knew a bit about this, says education is the key to freedom, and we're depriving our kids of that. So that is what makes the teaching
I see
union.
that
little kids do not see race.
No,
these idiot teachers are determined that they will.
But we used to say, did we not? You know, people are not born racist because they're not.
Of course they're not.
They become racist as a result of some kind of
teachers
experience that they have.
But
basically, this is making people racist.
Of course it is. But don't you think, boys, that the only time that you are completely innocent, you don't see race, you don't see gender.
When you're like 2 years old.
It's when you're a kid, a little kid. You just see other little kids.
I know. It is quite remarkable.
It's actually
finding racism where it's not. That's what unconscious bias, critical race theory.
See that kid over there who's got different colour skin to you? You know, make sure you treat them the same.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Why are you pointing that out?
The madness of unconscious bias and critical race theory is to tell a nation that isn't racist that although you think you're not racist, you are.
Yes.
You're finding a problem where there isn't one.
Well, that's what they said to Sharon Osbourne.
Absolutely insane.
That's what they said to Sharon Osbourne on that show in America. The View, is it called?
The Talk.
The Talk, sorry. And where they basically said, well, you should understand that you are racist. And she went, do you mean I don't know that I'm racist? And they went, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And she's going, okay, well, then I'm really sorry. And then they fired her anyway.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Right. Well, I'm going to move away from the race aspect of things for my first nomination. And I'm afraid, once again, it is the Metropolitan Police. Well, there is a race aspect to this, actually.
Good.
There always is.
It's the Metropolitan Police who, on Good Friday, you know, one of the holiest days of the year if you happen to be a Christian, and even more so if you're a Catholic, probably, they decided to visit the Christ the King Polish Catholic Church in Balham in South London late on Friday afternoon because somebody grassed them up. Because basically what they were doing in there was not having an orgy of sex and violence. They weren't all having some kind of ridiculous drugs party. They were not in any way cutting up the deal that they'd just stolen from a bank.
It's quite a big day in church, isn't it?
Quite a big day, Good Friday. They were having, quotes, a church service, right?
Now, in the church on Good Friday.
You know, get the blue lights on, lads, right? Get the old right squad on. You remember the Sweeney? Come on.
Yeah. You, Vicar!
Get your trousers on.
Against the wall.
So here's what they said. I mean, could actually have been from a Monty Python sketch. This is what the police officer, who everybody saw on the video, who got up on the altar to say, said, "This gathering is unfortunately unlawful under the coronavirus regulations we have currently. I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that although it is Good Friday, and I appreciate you may like to worship, that this gathering is unlawful, so please may you leave the building now. Thank you." This is modern day policing.
And they actually threatened them with fines as well.
There's two things about it, right? First of all, you saw the pictures. And they were shocked because a lot of people who couldn't get in. Yeah. They couldn't get in because the church was socially distancing.
Yeah.
They were doing
the church. If you saw the pictures, they were definitely socially distanced, so they weren't breaking the rules anyway. And outside, the people who were trying to get in, they socially distanced and they stood outside to sort of enjoy the service as best they could.
Yeah.
And so worse than that, you know, old Bill, you know, super plod, you know, using their detective skills, they go, I'll tell you what, I know these Christians, I know what they're like. I bet they get back together on Easter Sunday, and they did, and the police re-raided them. But I knew you'd do it.
But they didn't issue them with any fines on the Friday. I don't know whether they did on the Sunday.
No, they threatened them.
But it turns out also they were wrong. Because actually, unbeknownst to most of us, because most of us can't keep up with the bloody
well, they do change on an hourly
rules.
basis.
They've actually changed the rules now, so you can have a gathering in a place of worship for the purposes of religion, providing that you adhere to the coronavirus regulations.
This church
and apparently, apparently, according to the cops, they attended and found a large number of people inside the church, some of whom were not wearing masks. I mean, I can't say it without laughing. It's so ridiculous.
But the Archbishop of that diocese, the Diocese of Southwark, I believe. His name's John Wilson. Why do I know that?
How do you know?
He is orchestrating an official complaint to the police because the police are refusing to apologise, and they need to apologise. And the Catholic Church, to its enormous credit, is not going to take this lying down. They are demanding an apology from the cops.
I mean, thank God they didn't get to the resurrection. Otherwise, what would they have done then?
You
know. Right, you're Nick, Jesus.
You're
dead.
You meant down the
what
neck.
What are you doing?
Down the neck. He said, look, I've got a snout. I've got a bit of information, or as they call them on Line of Duty, a covert human information source, a chiz. I've got a chiz. And he's telling me, I don't know if it's true, he says, this lot, they gather every Sunday.
Yeah.
See that Sunday, that's their big day.
That one over there, it's dressed up. He's up to no good.
Pathetic, isn't it? It's pathetic.
I mean, it's like a comedy, isn't it?
Well, meanwhile, outside a school in Yorkshire, a group of men are standing huddled together, most of them not wearing masks, shouting the odds.
Yes.
And what are the police doing there?
Nothing.
Well, they're
I
just
did
standing
suggest,
watching.
funnily enough, when I was on at the weekend, I said maybe they should have had their Good Friday celebration outside the school in Batley, where they would have been able to pass the Eucharist around at will, and nobody would have minded. They could have done the Stations of the Cross if they wanted.
And they were actually breaking the rules, but obviously it's an easy target, isn't it? The police at the moment are going for a group of women crying on Clapham Common, a group of older, because they were mainly older people, sitting in a church on Good Friday.
Who were not breaking the rules.
I mean, the
Sarah Everard vigil did break the rules.
Yeah.
But these guys were...
Well, not initially.
Well, yeah, but you could argue that if you were a complete and utter pedant, you could say, well, maybe they were sitting a bit too close together. Come on, who cares?
By the way, I saw that a big luminary in the Church of England, it might have been the Archbishop of York or something, said this week, this is it, we're very excited because we do believe that by the summer, singing hymns will be allowed again in church.
Oh God, do you know the most...
Talk about setting the bar low for excitement.
You know the most heartbreaking picture I saw over the East End, the Easter weekend, was the little choristers. I can't remember what cathedral it was on. Little boys in their little robes with their masks on.
Yeah, it don't sound so good then either.
Oh, and it was just heartbreaking.
It's just ridiculous,
I
isn't
thought
it?
those poor little kids.
Unbelievable. Anyway, so I'm afraid, once again, Cressida Dick and the Metropolitan Police, absolute plankery. Should be ashamed of yourself. Kevin, your second nominee?
It's another luminary from Labour. An old favourite who's back, hopefully for 1 week only, Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, yes.
Because at the weekend there was, of course, another Kill the Bill protest. 10,000 people arrived in London to join that demonstration. I think it's extraordinary. It's called Kill the Bill. Every week they fight. There were 10 police officers injured, 24 arrests, and this is a protest to demand the right to peacefully protest.
And these are all basically anarchists.
Yeah, and who whipped them up? Who whipped him up into a frenzy with a big speech beforehand, just as the crowd was gathering? Our old friend, Comrade Corbyn, this silly old person who cannot, he's never seen a demonstration or a protest he didn't want to get involved in. And once again, I mean, I would say that Keir Starmer needs to take him into line, but of course he's not officially under the Labour banner anymore, is he?
Well, I think he's still in the Labour Party, but he's not in the parliamentary party.
He's not in the parliamentary party.
So because did he not get invited back in? Because that was where Sir Keir Starmer found himself incapable of blocking his re-entry into the party despite his suspension for anti-Semitism.
I just looking at a better future. I just want a brighter future, a world in which we don't have to see old Catweasel with his glasses and his Lenin hat addressing a crowd saying, "Protest, horrible Tories!
Do you know what
Shut
I'd like
up,
to
Corbyn!"
See, I think what I'd like to see quite at least once a week is him racing out of his little house in Islington, storming into a cab and slamming the door shut. Do you remember that when he did
Good morning, good morning, good morning, thank you.
I mean, he literally would take the photographer's hand off if he'd got any closer to him.
But and the other thing is that surveys have revealed, and Keir Starmer is now being told by his focus group people and by his advisors, your problem in not gaining any traction as the new opposition leader is you have failed sufficiently to apologise for Jeremy Corbyn. Labour still have a massive Corbyn problem. People think Jeremy Corbyn when they think that party. He was a disaster, as we well know. And him cropping up in his Lenin hat and his glasses, the old idiot, making his silly speeches, his student speeches at violent protests against the police under the banner Kill the Bill, does not do Keir Starmer and the Labour Party.
Well, do you know what? Once again, it's very bad news for the Labour Party because we've already had Clive Lewis. Now we've got Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, this is the irony, isn't it? You've got Clive Lewis having you go sort of like, everyone's racist, it's a hateful country. A member of the Labour Party that has Jeremy Corbyn in it.
Yes. I know.
Who
was suspended and then let back in.
Yeah, but just
which is it?
Tiny weeny bit anti-Semitic.
Right.
But that's not racism. No, that's not racism. One law.
He has an anti-Semitism problem.
Well, he certainly does. Let's have your second one, Dawn.
Right, my second one, I'm going to go the polar opposite to Kevin, just for a change,
Go
is
on.
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson.
I don't even know where to start.
Well, I mean, it's been another big week.
And what is the reason for your nomination of Boris Johnson this week?
It's been another big week for the big
Exactly.
You're not going to do Meghan Markle next, are you?
Oh, no, I'll leave that one to you.
You shouldn't make fun of anybody's choices because, you know, people might start making fun of yours.
I don't care.
You've had two from the Labour Party so far. What's your third one?
Look, come on, Kevin. If you don't think Boris Johnson is a plank this week, then you never were. You fancy him or something?
Who?
Boris Johnson.
Do I?
Yeah.
Everybody fancies Boris Johnson.
I really fancy him.
Everyone fancies Boris Johnson.
Got a bit of a crush on him.
I'm not the one.
Any case, so Boris Johnson this week gave this.
I'd rather not talk about it.
In fact,
I'm not going to.
This clear up. Good. Are you going to be quiet for 5 minutes?
No.
Oh God, no. That's too much to hope for, isn't it?
If only.
Any case, obviously we were all glued to our TVs on Easter Bank Holiday Monday, where Boris Johnson gave yet another conference from the very expensive Downing Street studio.
2.6 million.
2.6 million, and said absolutely.
He didn't. Well, not only did he not say very much, but he hardly took any time to say it.
I didn't even understand.
We were all expecting this massive kind of announcement, right? Because that's what had been trailed in the papers.
Yeah.
He's got this great plan. He's going to unveil it on Monday. More details will be coming and forthcoming. And I said to somebody, literally 5 minutes before he came on, I said, I bet he's still sitting in a room with a bit of paper going, so what are we saying today?
What are we saying? Yeah, what are we doing?
Because I don't think he knew what he was saying.
I don't think he has a absolute clue.
Scooby.
And he is just being, we're being led by the science. No, you're not. You're being bullied and dictated to by the science. Just grow a pair. And this mad testing thing where twice a week we're all meant to shove cotton buds up our noses.
No chance.
Why?
That's not happening.
What's the point?
No, it's not happening.
It's a good way of spending billions of pounds.
Well, this is the point. I had to read this twice, right? £1 billion a month. £1 billion a month this is costing.
People aren't going to bother.
No, of course they're
but
not.
the money coming out of this country at the moment is ridiculous. Do you know what I heard today? And he said it to me before. Simon Calder, reporting into us from Croydon.
I heard
places,
that, yeah.
right? £1 million an hour is costing us to run the trains in this country. £1 million an hour. Wow. And that's not just for 12 hours, that's 24 hours a day. 24 million a day is costing us to keep running a load of trains which nobody's going on.
No. Well,
I get infuriated when I walk into this building here because almost every time I do, I have to stop and let a bus pass me, right? Every single bus that passes me is empty.
Yeah, I know.
Not one has got one individual person on it.
Because the messaging...
It's been like that throughout the crisis.
Yeah, because the messaging is still, stay home, stop killing your granny, stop slaughtering nurses on the front line, you're all going to die, despite the fact that everything is going in the right direction, the vaccination programme has absolutely been a success. So why are we still being terrorised?
Yeah.
It seems to me that, yes, they do finally want to get us out of it, but they're so terrified of going too early.
Yeah.
That somehow it will come back to haunt them.
We're protecting you, and we're protecting the NHS. No, you're not. You're protecting yourselves.
If you talk to anybody about this, they'll still tell you they don't really know that much about it. So there's a pretty good chance that something could go wrong anyway. So why not just get on with it?
Just absolutely.
And if it all goes horribly wrong, then just say, well, look, we didn't see that coming, I'm afraid. I mean, nobody's going to, nobody gave Boris a hard time in December when this new variant came.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people started dying in big numbers. Even those of us who had been really critical of not opening up the pubs and all that, we said, OK, fair enough, there's a lot of people dying. We accept that you have to lock it down. We get that.
Yeah.
But that was in January.
Yeah.
And we're still in the same lockdown, and it's April, and nobody's dying.
It's either the vaccines work or they don't work. They seem to be working, so why are we still in this semi-paralysed state? They might be letting us out of our houses now, but they're locking us down in our heads.
Yeah.
But I wonder how many people are actually bothering anymore. I think more and more people just aren't.
Well, there's an awful lot of people
where I live. People are just not paying any attention.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was in Greenwich on Friday driving out of London, and I've never seen it so busy.
Yeah.
And I mean, comparing it to normal summers.
It's busier.
Where it was as busy as it is when there's tourists here. There was people all over the streets. It was a sunny day.
Yeah.
The Cutty Sark was crowded.
Yeah.
There was nobody actually on it, but there were people all around it. Inside the park, there was loads of people.
Because it's being counterproductive now. Because on a normal day, people would be going shopping, they'd be in pubs, they'd be in restaurants, they'd be going to football matches. But now there's nothing to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and sit in a park with your mates, because that's all you can do.
Well, that's all you can do.
And that's why everyone's so busy.
I know. I mean, I'm betwixt and between my second one, because I'm not sure if I want to put Sage in it as well as Boris, but I think I might have to, because I had a call today from somebody who said you should put the public in, because there are people who do actually want this lockdown to continue. There are people who say they
don't believe the polls. I don't believe
no, this is not.
No,
I'm not talking about pollsters. I'm talking about people who say things like, What's the big deal? You know, you have to have a passport to go to a foreign country. You have to have a DVLA driving license. They've got all your details.
Well, not if you don't drive, you haven't.
Yeah, but except this is different. This is asking for somebody outside of a building who might be a shop, who might be a hotel, might be a train, might be a pub, who are going to say to you, I want to see proof that you are not sick, right?
Yeah.
Now, first of all, it doesn't work because you can't enforce it. And second of all, sick in what way? You know, what if somebody, as I keep saying, is some kind of, violent criminal?
Yeah.
You know, you could stand in a pub and the guy next to you might have been done for assault and battery.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
No.
But if you get in a row with him and he starts hitting you with an iron bar, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
But you can't ban people on the basis of what they might do, can you?
And plus, I think you said
That's
this.
not the law.
You said this on your radio show as well, Mike. I think you can't actually expect pubs to organise it. How are they meant to do it? I mean, the people that are trying to implicate, and we know it'll happen, we know that's what they want to do, and Boris can lie to us blue in the face about no vaccine passports. Absolute lie. We know it's going to come, but they've
already put out the
they've
already signed someone up to make
they've never been to a pub. They've never.
Yeah, but that
worked.
might be one reason for sure that we know it won't happen because they've wasted a load of money on it and it won't work. Do you remember when they spent $4 billion on updating the NHS database and it never worked?
That's right.
Whatever they say, I'm just automatically know. But they've never obviously been to a pub before a football match, and you try going right. Can I see your passport?
But I also said to somebody,
they're going
to make it safe for people to go to football. Really? That's interesting.
That'd be a first.
You know, I've seen them fighting around the back of Surrey Quays when Millwall play at home. I'm not saying they do it all the time. I think it was West Ham, actually. But, you know, there are people who go to football, and obviously it's a much smaller number than it used to be, but there are people who go to football for a punch-up. They enjoy it. It's part of what their football life is, right? Now, I don't want my kids to get caught up in it, and I don't particularly want to get caught up in it.
Certainly where I go. That's where I go.
Well, I mean, it's the only reason you would go to Fulham, isn't it? Well, you wouldn't go for football.
Well, you get your butlers to have a fight at Fulham.
The opposition might beat us on the pitch, but we'll kill them in the stands.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the point. So I'm afraid I'm going to put Sage in there because not only are they still gripping very firmly Boris Johnson's arm and not allowing him to do supposedly
They've got
what he
more
wants
than
to
his
do.
blooming arm.
Well, they might have something. No, I think Carrie's got those. I don't think they.
In her handbag.
Yeah, they're not. He hasn't got those anymore. He's had them taken off him. But they're now saying. Whitty, Valance and the rest of them, and Ferguson, all saying, oh yeah, well the thing is we should probably be socially distancing for at least a year. What?
Hang on a second.
Why?
Hang on a second.
Why?
What is the point of the vaccine then?
Quite.
If you're not going to die from this, there's no point in socially distancing. There's no point in not going to the pub. There's no point in staying in your house. Just live a normal life. And you might get what used to be the flu. Now you might get COVID for a few days. If it's not fatal, we cannot carry on like this. It's madness.
Yeah, look at the statistics coming from Israel, proving that very point.
It's madness.
And yet we're expected to wear masks.
They've forgotten the sort of reason for all this. The reason for
the original reason was to stop overwhelming the NHS.
It's just lost in the midst of time. We're just doing it now.
I know.
We're just
absolutely
doing it.
nonsensical.
It's
By the
ridiculous.
way, can I just also, as per usual, put in my weekly vote for Meghan and Harry, who will continue to be carried over.
Wait, you have a go at me for nominating Boris every blooming week because he is a plank.
Yeah, but I can't.
Meghan and Harry, go and have a go at him.
You usually nominate Meghan every
Well,
week.
one person is carried over. I prefer to leave Meghan and Harry as a constant because they're always doing something plankish. Today's story was that she was apparently offered the opportunity to be an actress and continue her role in the royal family.
She should still give that a go, I think.
Well, I mean, she's acting her way through. She's acted her way through her life at the moment, but that's another story. Kevin, who's your third?
I'm going to sit the Oxford-Cambridge boat race. Which for reasons...
Had terribly Fulham.
The only thing anyone really cared about the boat race, apart from the participants, was it was a lovely London spectacle.
Yeah, it was very English.
Nobody gives a damn
although it was many years ago when they started importing people to be in the boat race who happened to be brilliant rowers.
Like all these people from America.
Canadians, Australians...
But again... You know,
it wasn't exactly,
Oxford won, Cambridge won.
Yeah, but it wasn't exactly chariots.
Who cares?
But it wasn't exactly chariots of fire, was it?
But no one cared. No one cared who won. It was just a nice spectacle, and people would line the
Good excuse to have a drink by the river.
So it was a London event.
My dad used to force us to bet on it.
So this year. Because apparently Hammersmith Bridge might collapse on them. That's not going to happen. And also because they couldn't risk the crowds.
No.
They moved it to an obscure stretch of water in the River Ely, up in Cambridgeshire.
I suppose the other problem with going anywhere near Hammersmith Bridge, you might get savaged by that woman's dog.
Yeah, that's right.
You know. I was only coming up for a stroll.
Warning to seals, don't come this way. So they moved it to this obscure stretch of water in the River Ely. And guess what? Both the women's race and the men's race, Cambridge won. Hometown advantage.
Well, there you go.
If I was Oxford, I'd be
I would say you might be right about that, except for the fact that they managed to actually block off all of the towpath, so nobody could line the river.
That was the thing that got me.
It's in the open air. They keep telling us, right, that it's all right when there's good ventilation, and it's obviously much less dangerous in the open air. So why do they keep banning things that go on in the open air?
Actually, did you read the warning? The police actually put, do not turn up, we will fine you, you will be breaking the law.
Yeah. I used to do rowing, you know, when I was in my
Not anymore though, right?
Not anymore, no, not anymore. I don't do much, actually.
Not at the moment, right?
Can you imagine Mike getting in a canoe?
No, but we, bizarrely, do you know what we did? We had, in my school, we had a bloke called Jim Clark, who you won't remember, but he was a member of the 1972 British Olympic rowing team, and he was our PE teacher.
Okay.
So he got us into, we used to go down to Putney, by the Putney Bridge. In Putney, there's a thing called the rowing tank, where you actually sit on one of these chairs that goes backwards and forwards, and you row, but you don't go anywhere. It's like a stationary rowing machine, except there's actually water. It's quite cool. And we used to row up and down in Putney. Yeah, it was quite interesting.
So
you wouldn't know that about me.
No, I'm actually stunned into silence for once.
How come I've got this?
I have no response to that.
I've got this upper body physique that
Not
you know
that I can
nothing
say
about.
and you get this power for nothing.
I've got this powerful. Upper
It all
body
dates
physique.
back to your rowing years.
It does. Extraordinary stuff. But anyway,
they've ruined the boat race, and for that, they're planks of the week.
Yeah, I think that's very good. Dawn,
Okay, I'm going to go for sex.
are you?
Yeah.
You're in the wrong place.
I know. Yeah, tell me
This
about
is the
it.
rowing centre.
Nothing.
Tell us about your first sexual
How many
experience.
times have you walked into a room and said that and just watched with horror the reaction?
Quite a few. Any case, the nomination is actually one James Norton, who is an actor, and
he's one of those with a name that I sort of recognise.
I recognise a picture of him.
Very famous.
Yeah, he was in Grantchester and Happy Valley, and he's
Grantchester, Happy Valley.
Oh, that's him. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's
Very nice chap, by the way. Very nice.
I'm
chap.
sure he's
Scottish?
lovely.
No, he looks Scottish.
He's tipped to be the next James Bond, but he gave an interview this week saying that, well, as far as being Bond's concerned, I do find sex scenes potentially traumatic. Hello.
Has he had to do one with Madonna or something?
It's.
I mean, that could be. Has he had to do one with Madonna?
Well,
that could be traumatic.
But I mean, it's hardly being, fighting in Afghanistan or being on the front line of the NHS or, down a coal mine even.
The front line of the NHS, yeah. Absolutely.
Or even.
That's amazing, isn't it? All frontline workers, NHS. Yes.
They're all heroes.
Nurses, great.
Have you seen, by the way, have you seen that mural that's outside of King's College? You go down the bottom of the Shard on the escalator, you walk down towards Guy's Hospital. There's a huge mural, right? And it says, "Is there a hero standing behind you?"
Oh, what's the nurse?
To which I thought, well, I better bloody not be.
No, it's a nurse.
I don't like people standing behind me. There's a bloke who looks a bit like a doctor. Is that who you mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, who do you want to thank?
Yeah.
And all this stuff's written. It's like something in North Korea. I'm sorry.
I was down the embankment the other last.
We'll come back to your nomination in a minute.
That's fine. You just chat amongst yourself.
You've seen those. So I saw them all these dorks drawing hearts on that wall. Which is the COVID memorial. So there's all these people drawing, and they're trying to count.
Are they rainbow coloured?
Well, it goes on for ages, and you just thought, well, what a waste of time.
I know. I don't understand what's happened to this country. I really don't. Anyway,
you finished. Any case, I mean, I think that makes
so
sense.
who's he done
it's
sex
just following
scenes
in the
with?
footsteps.
Who's he done? What we need to know is who he's done a sex scene with, which is
It's not
traumatising.
particularly plankish. I'd find it traumatic to do a sex scene.
Would you?
Well, I'd find it traumatic if I had to do one with you. Yeah, blimey.
I mean, it must be quite weird. I've often said this, right? If you're married or partnered with some actor
It's acting.
or actress, well, it's not really acting.
It's your job. Oh, come on.
Not really. Well, I don't come to work and take my clothes off and get into bed with another woman.
Because you're not an actor, you're a radio presenter.
Listen, we're doing a lot of changes at Talk Radio. I haven't told you about the new show.
New TV channel coming.
Here's the thing. Imagine if you were, though, my wife watching me doing that, or if you were watching your husband doing it.
It's called acting.
It's a good idea for a new show.
It's called acting.
Yeah, but did you watch that?
Yeah, but I think it is quite traumatic.
Bridgerton. Did you watch that?
That rubbish.
There was an awful lot of quite, what you might regard as racy sex in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that like? I don't know. I can't remember racy sex.
I was forced to watch it one night because
rubbish, isn't it?
It was absolute cobblers. Yeah. But I was thinking I'd actually be embarrassed to do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because not only are you,
I'd find it very traumatic.
You're actually pretending.
I'm with Norton.
I'm with Norton. Yeah.
It's just acting. Come on, get over it.
Well, why is he not traumatised by being shot at?
Well, he might well be.
Well, he didn't say that,
such
did
a
he?
blooming snowflake. I didn't know you used to. We're such snowflakes.
He's a very nice chap.
Well, I don't think that's very fair. I don't think Kevin and I would be in any way described as snowflakes. But we shall move on.
Snowflakes.
I think we should move on.
Snowflakes.
We should move on because I know that you're going to complain about this, both of you, right? Because you're always saying, "Oh, we always nominate the same people." But I'm going to have to do this, I'm afraid. Well, he does it a lot, yeah. But I mean, we've already got
Boris.
We've already got Boris Johnson. You've already done 2 Labour guys.
Exactly. Get over yourself. Get over yourself.
Well, here's the thing, right? I'm now going to put in the kingmaker of the Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer. Not just because he hasn't sorted out Jeremy Corbyn, not just because he hasn't done anything to Clive Lewis, but because he decided it would be a great idea over Easter to go and visit a church. Now, normally, poor old Keir, as I've said before, doesn't see a fence and can't walk past it without sitting
sit on it with splinters.
He decides to go to a place called the Jesus House. Now, call me old-fashioned. If you were going to go to the Church of St Martin in the Fields, St Paul's Cathedral, maybe even Ely Cathedral or something like that, you would sort of
see the boat race, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could see the boat race as well. Well, exactly. You wouldn't be allowed to watch it except on TV.
No.
But I mean, here's the thing: you would go, okay, that's probably pretty mainstream. Now, we all know that there are some pubs apparently that have been turned into places of worship by a lot of these kind of what you might regard as Christian fundamentalist type places. Slightly culty. In a place called the Jesus House, you'd go, maybe. Yeah. Or at the very least...
I'd go to church if you have a couple of pints.
Yeah. I mean, as long as that's how they get them in. Yeah. But the point is if you had any kind of nous politically, or if you had any sort of staff, which he does have, would you not say, can somebody just check this place out to make sure that it's not associated with anything... which wouldn't be on message for us.
It's like everything he does afterwards, you go, wah, wah,
wah, wah, wah. And all I see is Keir Starmer on one knee, kind of going, I'm really sorry, or clapping for the NHS. The heroes.
Yeah, so someone who went to church, it's not one knee, Keir, it's 2 here.
Right, anyway, it turns out the bloke that runs the Jesus House is a massive homophobe. He's not very keen on the LBGT community, and has said some things which might be regarded as a bit outrageous, right? And not the sort of thing that you should be thinking, for heaven's sake. So here's what Keir puts out the following day after visiting, trying to make a big photo opportunity about this great sort of Christian thing, because of course he gets accused all the time of only bigging up the Muslim population or the Hindu population. He's all over Passover whenever there's a Jewish holiday. So he tries to do the Christian one, right? He has to put out this tweet. I completely disagree with Jesus House's beliefs on LGBT plus rights, which I was not aware of before my visit. I apologise for the hurt my visit caused and have taken down the video. It was a mistake and I accept that. What a plank! I mean,
how can you get it so wrong?
How can you get it so wrong?
It's not complicated.
Jesus.
Go into church.
Jesus Christ!
Go into church.
I mean, you'd think it wouldn't have been that hard to find the Jesus House blokes' views.
This is another thing about how hapless Keir is. So the in-house newspaper for the Labour Party, the Observer.
Not Pravda.
He came. Well, the Observer. The Observer, arguably even worse than the Guardian. No mean feat.
Yeah, sells even fewer copies.
God, I mean, nobody reads it. It's awful. But anyway, the splash was Keir coming out fighting because he's so useless at being the opposition leader. As you know, this is like the 1-year anniversary of him taking over from Comrade Corbyn. He's done an absolute.
What a great year it's been.
He's done such a
superb.
Well, that's it. He's done such a lousy job. He has to come out fighting.
Hang on, let's just recap, shall we? I mean, he's been in isolation 3 times, hasn't he?
Yeah. Isolation row.
Tried to go to church, couldn't quite do that.
He's in so when after a year the leader of the party has to come out saying, I am good to be the Prime Minister, I am the man to lead the country, you know he's in big trouble. So what analogy did he use? And what analogy did they put in the headline on the Observer on Sunday? It was, I'm going to rip off the mask and prove that I'm right and fit to run the country. Well, this is not the time to use that analogy,
it really
is
isn't.
it?
It really really isn't. He's
so
also hopeless because the other thing he did, you remember, was he talked about wrapping himself in the flag and making sure that Labour stood for Britain. He then said the only thing that I think is going to save his backside is coming up soon. If he votes against the vaccine passports, which there's talk that he might, and he might get the Labour Party to vote against it, I think he will become a lot more popular overnight.
Yeah, maybe he'll just work out if you oppose the Tories, people might like it.
Because after all, you are the opposition.
Yeah.
Not getting not getting the church thing possibly, but not understanding the word opposition. I mean, it's like, and that's all we want now is just someone to say, Boris, no, stop.
It's very simple, as you said, Mike. All he's got to do is oppose vaccine passports, make that the official policy, vote against Boris in the House of Commons when they have that vote, because Boris has promised a vote on that, and he will find a groundswell of support will come behind him.
Exactly right.
Pretty easy, Keir.
It's not difficult, mate. Get on with it.
Yeah.
And also, next time you go to a church or any place of worship, check out who runs it and what they might have said in the past. It's a Google search. I mean, you don't even have to send a private investigator down. Just put his name into Google and see what comes back.
Yeah.
It's basic, which does not mean dull in this context. Right now,
Primal.
Let's do the final 9 that we have now got, including Meghan and Harry, which will be added in. So, who's going to call for whose first?
Well, you're the boss.
Well, do you want to choose mine?
Okay,
we'll go that way.
Sure.
So my 3 are the Metropolitan Police for their Good Friday invasion of
the many church
the
raids.
Polish church in Balham.
Getting those desperados.
Sage, I'm going to make it Sage, not just Chris Whitty, for their ludicrous assertion that we should be still doing social distancing for at least a year and continue to wear masks for the end of time because it will be safer that way, and for continuing to hold Boris back from actually doing what he wants to do. And Sir Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party, hapless individual, failure as leader of the opposition, useless at pretty much everything he does, and fence sitter.
It's a bit obvious, route 1, but I think it affects more people. So Sage. I was very tempted.
No, I get that. I think that's a good
tempted
choice.
by the police because that was
I'm
an
tempted
outrage.
by the police.
They've got to be highly commended, but I think Sage is affects so many millions of people that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice.
No, agree.
Okay, so now Dawn, you tell me your 3.
Right, okay, mine are, I'm still trying to pronounce this, NASUWT, the NASUWT, the teaching union, basically, for their decolonising
Sounds
of
like an Australian animal, doesn't it?
maths lesson.
NASUWT.
No idea, any case, planks. Boris Johnson.
Boris.
Yeah. Who, I may nominate occasionally, but the man is an utter blank, Kevin.
Every single week.
Every single week.
Meghan.
Says a man that nominates Labour Party members every single week.
I thought he was just making a joke about the fact that they're in it every week.
So
why
we
are you taking it so personally?
I don't know, because I don't nominate Meghan
So
every
you should just say
week.
in future, Mike.
Boris
So Dawn, what are the reasons you're nominating Boris and Meghan this week?
I've got the nomination
What's
for
your
you,
third one?
Kevin. The third one was, you're not going to go for this one, are you? Because you are too shy to have sex as an actor.
That's not what I said.
In a role.
I think you'll find there'll be plenty of people that would suggest that you've just made a
It's not traumatic.
What do you
Being
call
an
it
actor
when-
is
what do you-
not traumatic. Stop it.
What do you call it when James goes doesn't wear any underpants? Norton Commando.
One for the motorcyclist.
Any case. So basically, James Norton is the actor, tips me the next one,
Yeah.
who
I like
needs
that
to
one.
Roger Moore.
Oh, good. Ho-ho! There's a James Bond joke as well. Now, I like that, actually. So you're wrong. Once again, you've picked wrongly, because I'm going to go for him, because I think it's much more interesting than putting Boris Johnson in as well as
Yes.
Okay.
I think James...
Shut up, you.
James Norton as a plank will definitely go into the top 3.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think, because that is a pretty ridiculous thing to say. I mean,
I'm
traumatised by doing sex scenes. Do me a favour, James.
I'm
Jimmy.
objecting to that. 'cause he's
Snowflake.
a nice guy.
Well, we can
Snowflake.
vote. We can vote later on who comes top. So now, Kevin, you tell
Dawn's
Dawn
choosing mine.
what your 3 are.
Mine were Ku Klux Klan fan, Clive Lewis, Jeremy Corbyn and his Lenin hat protesting, even though he's 107 years old. Grow up, you old git. And finally, the boat race for moving from London's River Thames to somewhere that no one's ever heard of.
Well, like
an obscure
Cambridgeshire. I've heard of
stretch
Cambridgeshire,
No,
funny
that
enough.
bit of river. I mean, ruining that sporting event.
I think
There you go.
Yeah, I think it was the Ouse, wasn't it?
It was the Ouse,
I'm pretty sure it was the
And
Ouse.
it goes through Ely, which is a big cathedral in the middle of the fens.
The fens.
Yeah.
Sitting on the fens. He could have gone there for another reason then.
Yeah.
Old Keir.
Yeah.
Sitting on the fens. Sorry.
Oh, Oh, that's what
Say
Roger
it
Moore.
twice.
Oh, bad. We should just nominate the jokes.
Yes,
really.
I know. Yeah, come on then.
Right,
So-
I'm gonna. To me, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to go for Clive Lewis.
Yeah, I
thought,
agree with you.
I thought it was absolutely appalling what he
Absolutely.
said.
Good choice,
Absolutely
Paul.
shocking.
Okay.
choice.
Good
Well, that's
nomination,
good.
Kev.
Well, that's a good top three,
We're
I
getting
think.
on.
You're welcome.
So Sage, James Norton, and Clive Lewis.
I know I chose it, but I think, again, Sage does affect millions of people, but I do think the Clive Lewis incident was outrageous, and for that reason, I think it's Clive.
I agree.
I think that's a
agree
good
with
choice,
Kevin. No?
Yeah.
I think that's a good choice because he is definitely, and I mean, he has done stupid things before, but that was particularly stupid.
It was stupid. It was offensive. It was divisive. It was
and also he didn't apologise for it.
No.
You know, I mean, he was given plenty of opportunity to do that, and he never did.
It's puerile and juvenile.
So should we make James Norton second? No, we can't.
No, they've got to
Should
be Sage second.
It's got to be Sage.
got to be
James
Sage.
an honourable third.
All right, so that's what we'll do. So Sage second, James Norton third. I think that's pretty good. We'll carry over Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, it's not bad. Again.
And thank you once again for watching. You don't forget you can also listen. There is a podcast. It will be on the radio too. This is Plank of the Week. They are the panel, Dawn and Kevin. We'll see you next time.